This is Steve in October 2012. A number of friends and colleagues asked me to comment about the Mormon white horse prophecy because I'm a former Mormon, and they have an interest because Mitt Romney is running for president at this time. And well, the white horse prophecy is a prophecy made by Mormonism's founding prophet Joseph Smith in Nauvoo, Illinois in the 1840s, where he predicted that the Mormon Church would one day dominate the US government. And this is kind of a conspiracy theory idea that a lot of critics of Mormonism get a hold of and kick around quite a bit. But in reality, Mitt Romney is kind of a different kind of a religious person than anybody who's ever run for US president. You know, we had John F. Kennedy, who was a Catholic, run for office, and there were people who were concerned that then the Pope would be running the US government. And then, of course, you know, Jimmy Carter was an outspoken, born-again Baptist, kind of a Christian guy. And people were concerned because President Obama had instruction in a mosque and was initiated to be a Muslim and had certain Muslim leanings. But really, Mitt Romney is in a whole different category because he's a Mormon priesthood holder, he was a Mormon missionary, he's been a Mormon clergyman, and he belongs to the group of Mormons that attend the Mormon temple. So he's really not like a JFK and Obama or Jimmy Carter as a religious person. In fact, Mormonism is more than a religion. Mormonism is more than a church. Aside from the church, Mormonism has other domains. There's the domain of the priesthood, there's the domain of the kingdom, and there's a part of Mormonism which is a system of multi-layered secrets. So this really is not getting talked about in the public square because people don't want to mix Mitt Romney's religion with politics. But I think that this is being overlooked a little bit. Maybe it shouldn't be overlooked. It's a sensitive topic. So let me address the Mormon Church, the Mormon priesthood, the Mormon kingdom, and maybe talk a little bit about the system of multi-layered secrets. But first, the priesthood. Mormonism has two priesthoods, or I should say two divisions within the Melchizedek priesthood. There's the Aaronic priesthood, and then there is the larger Melchizedek priesthood. The pardon me, the Melchizedek priesthood is the advanced priesthood, and the Aaronic priesthood is the preparatory priesthood. Now, Melchizedek, who the priesthood is named after, was a Bronze Age conquering warrior, king, and priest who was in the area of Mesopotamia, Fertile Crescent, and Jerusalem. He's kind of a Bronze Age King Arthur figure, and what he did is he went around capturing territory over this large geographic region and building civilization out of it. He was probably solving disputes between the goat herder nomads and the people trying to grow crops at that time during that stage in human history. So just like Melchizedek was very territory and a conquering kind of person, the Mormon priesthood is very territorial, very territory oriented, and much of what it does has to do with managing territory and claiming more territory. And that's, you know, it's proselytizing, it's missionary work. And in doing so, they're very topographical because they divide everything up into grids and regions. For example, Salt Lake City, all the streets are on a grid. Then at the corner of Temple Square is the baseline for the whole wide world. And from there, northeast, west, south, the whole world is sectioned off in grids. And if someone gives you a tour of Temple Square, sometimes you know, a Mormon guy will give you a tour of it and point that out. So Mormon leaders then get a piece of the grid. And like a bishop has an area that his ward, his parish, is in. So they have this geographic territory. And the priesthood, with its territorialism, is formed in a vertical rank of many offices. There's offices of the Aaronic priesthood, and then there's offices in the Melchizedek priesthood. This creates a command structure from the prophet of the Mormon Church right down into the individual homes of each member. And that way one decision from the prophet of the Mormon Church or the higher leadership can quickly disseminate down to everybody, even the family units in the church worldwide. But also the Mormon priesthood is a very expanded priesthood. The notion of the priesthood in Mormonism is very expanded in that it was by the priesthood that the heavens and earth were created. And in the Mormon creation scenario, there are many, many gods and angelic beings and so forth, and they all get organized by the priesthood, and they become kind of a cosmic U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And they have this big construction project where they take the raw elements of the universe and terraform the earth and make the planets and do all this other stuff. So they create this kingdom. And essentially, to be a god in Mormonism, a god is a priesthood holder who presides over a territory. So the priesthood in Mormonism is not like the Catholic priesthood. It's not like a Pentecostal minister, or it's not like a Baptist preacher or anything like that. Mitt Romney and his religious function is much different than any of these kinds of mechanisms. And so let me talk a little bit about the church, because in talking about the priesthood, I talked about the overall territory that the church is within, and that's the kingdom. So when Mormon missionaries go on their mission, they're patrolling part of the kingdom over which church leaders already believe they preside. And they go out and invite people into the inner part of the church. But the Mormon church itself is really divided into two main organizations, which are one part of it is the preparatory gospel, and the second part is the fullness of the gospel. The preparatory gospel is like regular church. It's the corner ward where we have lots of programs for kids, lots of family stuff. We have normal looking Sunday school with normal looking doctrines like you'd find in any traditional Christian church. That's where 90% of the Mormons' religious life is, and their family life is tied to it. Then we have the fullness of the gospel, which is really also includes the Mormon temple and the higher teachings. And this is really the function of the Melchizedek priesthood. The Aaronic priesthood, the lower priesthood, manages the ward stuff and the basics. But the Melchizedek priesthood manages the mysteries of godliness. And it's through the Melchizedek priesthood that humans are to become gods and rule over the earth, rule over territory. And in this universe there's many gods and many territories. So here we have this very territorial sort of religion where anybody who presides over a territory becomes a god. Sometimes gods over their own planets or what have you. So the white horse prophecy fits right into a nifty little conspiracy theory when a person considers the nature of Mormonism, because you have these men who are trying to gain more territory. We have a church with a priesthood that practically has a military-like command structure. So this all becomes a big concern. The next concern is that because the Mormon church has its preparatory public kind of gospel, then its fullness of the gospel, which contains secrets of godliness and things that aren't supposed to be spoken of in public, one wonders, what are the Mormons planning within their secret traditions? Are they planning world domination or what? And so this causes a whole bunch of suspicion. But to tell you the truth, when I heard the first debate, Mitt Romney speak, it's hard to believe that a person who has a worldview like a Mormon must have to be a member of the Mormon Church, speak honestly and openly as a moderate politician, because it just seems inconsistent with the entire worldview of Mormonism. So in a nutshell, that's, this kind of outlines the White Horse Prophecy. I hope what I had to say is some use to you. Thanks for listening.